Alright, so I am going to, this is my number 2 upload, this video series in regards to people who are of a mixed race. Okay, if you're of a mixed race, this video series would apply to you as far as the Bible is concerned. Okay, I am talking about what is found in the Bible in regards to people who are of a mixed race. Okay, so we left off talking about what happens when animals, insects, plants, etc. mix. Okay, now we have what is called the killer bee. All right, the killer bee was a hybrid mix of I think it was European bee with an African bee, or I don't know, something like that. And these bees are basically killer bees. Okay, they are running amok all over the world. Okay, and so they kill people because somebody thought it would be a great idea to mix these insects. So Chance said it was a European bee and the African bee. Okay, so yeah, like I said, somebody thought it would be a great idea to mix the European bee and the African bee, and unfortunately lots of people are now dead because of it. Okay, but let's go ahead and use another example while I scroll down to see these pictures or images or whatever. What happens when you get a mule and a horse? Okay, so to those who mixed the mule and the horse, there was another animal or another species created called a donkey. Okay, now I'm getting into what is called hybridity, or hybrid, or people who are hybrids, and Charles Darwin actually talked about that in his book, The Origins of Species. Okay, now when we talk about people like Charles Darwin or Hitler or people like that, these people are identified by mostly the Christian ministers and leaders as occultists, Satanists, and yada yada yada. Okay, and so the individual is basically being led away from studying who these people were and what they wrote, simply because they are in fear, or they have been taught to be in fear of these people. And there's also tactics that are used as well, such as, you know, if you want to read, let's say that you wanted to read Mein Kampf, okay, written by Adolf Hitler, then you would be called a racist, you would be called anti-Semitic, you know, you would just, people would frown upon anyone who would like to read the teachings of Adolf Hitler. Okay, my suggestion to people who want to find out truth is to read whatever you can get your hands on. Okay, now, so we were talking about race mixing. I mentioned the bee, I mentioned the donkey. Now, what about Charles Darwin? Well, let's go ahead and refer to his book. And let's see, we picked up this book, and it is called The Origins of Species. Unfortunately, somebody changed the title of this book. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let you see what the real title of this book was, and how it was changed to another title, because lots of people didn't like it. They didn't like the title. So the real title of Charles Darwin's writings was By Means of Natural Selection of the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life. Okay, there's also parts written by Julian Huxley. Okay, now if you don't know who Huxley was the bulldog of for Charles Darwin. They were very close in connection with their teachings on survival of the fittest. Okay, survival of the fittest. Is that true? Is that a true term when we hear the term survival of the fittest? Yeah, it is a true term. Okay, it's a true term because when, like I said, like I talked about before, when we go against the laws of nature, it basically puts people at a disadvantage in regards to their own race and to their own species. And I will give an example. We talked about the donkey that was a creation of two species that were put together, scientifically speaking, and the fact that the donkey can no longer survive as its own species and will not survive as its own species because of sterilization. Okay. Sterility. When you mix a certain species with another species, it's called a hybrid. Okay, same as people. When people do that, they are actually putting their own race at a disadvantage. Okay, as far as biblically speaking, though, is concerned, if we were to consider Genesis chapter 6, we would then be led to finding out that the angels who mated with the daughters of men were basically they became extinct. The reason why, well, one being is because God didn't like that, but there were people born with like 6 fingers, 6 toes, just really grotesque mutations that occurred while these people were mixing with just people that were not of their same kind. Okay, remember, kind after kind. Okay, this is a biblical teaching. So for those who like to push off universalism or push off that people should unite and be of the same kind, it just does not work. It doesn't work societally speaking. It doesn't work in the prison system. It doesn't work in nature, and it goes against nature. It goes against nature. I didn't make up the rules. That's just how it goes, okay, according to God or not. So if we were to, let's just say that that homosexuality was abound in this generation. Like I said, God is not going to come down and, wipe this whole generation off the face of the earth, because they will do it themselves through their process of going against the laws of nature. Okay, so I am at my I'm at my 7th minute. I think I'm going to stop it here and go on to number 3, and we will talk about Cain mixing with somebody else, okay, and we'll talk about this line right here. So let's go ahead and go on to number 3.